In this week's video, there's a couple of close calls, some amazing mountaintop flight footage, and a little added excitement as I completely lose video, more than once. This is going to be a good one. Hi, I'm Long Range FPV. Thanks for joining me again. This time I'm going to be flying my absolute favorite long-range drone build, the Rad Lion. I'll put a link below to the Rad Lion release video if you want to check that out. First, we'll take a closer look at the Rad Lion on the bench, and then we'll move on to some flight footage. The Rad Lion is a smaller and lighter frame than most other 7-inch long-range drones. Keeping the size to a minimum plays a big part in reducing vibrations as well as aerodynamic drag on the drone. Part of how this is achieved on the Rad Lion is by mounting a 6S2P lithium-ion battery split up into two separate 6S1P batteries. So one goes on the top and another underneath. Carrying the batteries this way allows the overall length of the drone to be much shorter, providing about 6 or 7% better efficiency than a drone with 6S2P all mounted up on the large top plate. I'm making that comparison between this and my Falcon RPM frame, which is a large top plate drone, which carries both of these batteries on the top plate behind the GoPro. And yeah, with the shorter top plate, smaller configuration of this one, it's about 6 or 7% more efficient. The smaller size of this drone also makes it easier to confidently fly in close proximity to the landscape. Flying the Rad Lion gives me the confidence to push a little harder than I would with any of my other builds. There's just something about this one and how it flies that this is always my fallback when I'm a little bit worried about a flight or uncomfortable, a little unsure. This is the one I go with. So this is a more recent flight. This one's from just a few weeks ago this winter. Unfortunately, my Hero 11 Mini wasn't available as I'd sent it out for repairs. So this one was all recorded on the GoPro Hero 9. All right, let's go check out that flight footage, and I'll tell you some more about the drone I'm flying after we get started. So as I mentioned in my previous video, this flight, as well as every other long-range flight I've ever done, the VTX is set to 800 milliwatts. This is for analog flights, of course. For my digital setups, that's different. Now I have just recently crammed a JEP RC MA10. I say crammed because it's a little big. But I fitted it in the back of my Rad Lion build, the same one that I'm flying here. And I'm going to do a little bit of experimenting now with that, trying to fly it at 1600 milliwatts. And then I've got it set so that if I use auto level or GPS rescue, it will automatically boost it up to 2.5 watts. So we'll see how that goes. Hopefully that'll be a new upgrade that I'm going to keep on this drone. As you can see, we're flying into the shadow of the mountain right now, and the scene's going to be a little bit dark because I've got the GoPro set up with an ND16 filter to give me the best results while I'm in the bright light at the peak of the mountain. But I wanted to include this part because I think this is actually a really nice line I ended up managing to fly through here. Now, of course, I've flown this mountain probably 40 or 50 times, so I've pretty much got it memorized, which is how I know just exactly where to be placing and positioning the quad to continue my line nicely. Now coming up here, it doesn't look like much, but yeah, this bush, I just about hit that bush. I'm probably 1 or 2 feet above the bush, but I was expecting that I was clearing everything by a couple feet more than that, so this kind of jumped out and surprised me there. But in the dark shadows here without very good light, with analog and Scraggle, That's one beautiful thing about the DJI-03 setup, is that this bush here would have been clear as day with the DJI setup, but not so with analog. Let's continue on here. All right, now we're coming up to the good stuff. This is actually my favorite shot of this video coming up here. This cruise along the ridge line at the top here. Coming up here in a minute, I'm going to lose video a couple of times. You'll see here in this first example, I'm intentionally flying behind this rock just to line up the shot the way I want. So I know my video is going to disappear and then return pretty shortly afterwards. You can see there, it kind of messed up my line. I shot up a little bit too high before coming around for this turn. But I'm fairly comfortable with situations like that, as I'm intending on lining myself up for video loss, and I know that it's only going to be for a couple of seconds. Now it's going to happen again here in just a moment, and this one's going to be a little bit different because I'm not really expecting it this time. And another peek off to the left-hand side here, the one that I flew over at the beginning, flying over that first ridgeline. That peak's going to get in between me and the drone and cut my video off here in a second. For those of you that haven't experienced complete video loss at the top of a mountain before, it's hard to convey the instantaneous feeling of stress and anxiety that rushes in when your goggles go blank. Your ability to remain calm and control the drone in this situation is essential. As you can see, despite flying blind, I easily get out of the situation by confidently applying a little bit of roll and yaw slightly to the left, and then burying the throttle at full for a few seconds. Of course, GPS rescue is always an option, but when flying in close proximity to the ground, relying on GPS rescue to save you is risky at best. I've experienced video loss dozens, maybe even hundreds of times, and I've gotten to the point where I'm fairly comfortable with it. But that can also turn into a losing your quad situation in just a matter of seconds. The wind was calm for this flight, so it wasn't too hard to do a slow panning shot and still hit the dive entry just right. But I was hoping to get in a bit closer, so I'm going to take another try at it. This time, I'm going to get a little too close. You remember the instant rush of stress from blank video that I mentioned earlier? Well, feeling like you're about to plow into the peak of a mountain is a close second on the long-range freakout scale. Fortunately for me, I've been in this situation many times, and I have my rates set in just a way that I can make sudden, quick adjustments without overcorrecting and making things worse. see here the benefits of flying this mountain so many times that I've got many of his little gullies and ditches and features along here kind of memorized. So I know I'm able to go over here to the left and hit another interesting feature on the way down. And now it's back across this sort of boring flat section of the mountain. So we're going to jump ahead here again to back to the more interesting stuff at the waterfalls. And then here again, thanks to it being a nice calm day with very little wind, doing this panning around shot and trying to keep the waterfall in the frame the whole time, and then get up on top of it and dive it. That's all much easier to pull off when the wind's not throwing you off course. I'm much more confident diving down that waterfall and getting in close when there's some good light on the terrain. All right, now that all the difficult part is over, here's where I remember to start breathing again and just enjoy a nice, beautiful cruise back home.